Good morning. My name is Rob, and I guess I'm a social entrepreneur. I'm based in Plymouth, and you're going to learn a bit more about me over the next few months, and hopefully you'll find the things that I get up to and the projects I'm involved with interesting. But the thing I really wanted to do this morning is tell you about one of the projects that I've been working on with the team here at Think Tank, which is called Borrow Don't Buy. And we recently, last week, had our launch for the project. It's been supported in a number of ways by a number of people, but what I wanted to do is kind of tell you a little bit about the launch party. Now, due to the fact that I'm new to all of this, I didn't really take enough footage at the launch party, and obviously I was busy doing a presentation, so I didn't record any of that, which would have been really useful because the presentation I gave is answering quite a lot of the most common questions that we get. So what I thought I would do is just run through the presentation for you. I've got it on my screen at the moment, so if you see me looking over there, that's the reason why, and if you see me looking there, that's because I'm checking me out to make sure I don't look completely ridiculous. So what I'll do is I'll just run you through the presentation that I gave. So, if I put my thing over there, okay, so frequently asked questions. This is the format that I did the presentation in, and Borrow Don't Buy gets a lot of questions. It's a relatively new concept for people. It's not that new of a concept in general, but people aren't used to it, I think, and we get a lot of questions over and over again. So I thought this would be a really good way of going through that. So, question number one, what is Borrow Don't Buy? Borrow Don't Buy is a library of things. So just as you would go to a library and borrow a book, you can come to Borrow Don't Buy, or more accurately, the best thing to do is go to borrowdon'tbuy.co.uk and have a look at our library of things. And those things, well, I mean, we've got all sorts. We've bought some things, we've been donated things. A lot of the things that we are lending out belong to me. So, I mean, if you've ever needed a car battery charger or a projector or a strimmer or something like that, and you didn't want to go out and buy one and spend like 200 quid on something and then use it once, that's where we come in. We can offer you the opportunity to borrow something instead of buying it. So the clue's in the name. So question number one, nice and easy. What I should probably mention, and my slides have just reminded me of, is that we're not just a library of things. We also run repair cafes. And if you're not familiar with what repair cafes are, it's an opportunity for you to bring along items that you own already that are broken, and hopefully find someone who has the skills to be able to help you put that item back into repair. And one of the unintended side effects that we've had as a result of running these repair cafes is people quite often bring along items that have been broken for some time, and then they fix them, which is great. It's really good for the environment for these items to kind of keep going rather than being thrown away. But then they donate them to us, which is awesome because we get more stuff that we can then lend to people. Okay, question number two. Where did the idea come from? Well, I didn't come up with the idea for a library of things. Although I did come up with the idea for Borrow Don't Buy. So I had a torque wrench my dad bought for me many years ago, and I've used it twice, and it's moved with me from house to house to house, and I finally moved it to the office, thinking, well, one day someone might need to use a torque wrench. And it occurred to me how ridiculous it was that I've been keeping this torque wrench with me this entire time. And I thought, wouldn't it be great if I could lend it to someone, if people could use it when I'm not using it. And then I started to look around at all the things that were around me, and I thought, actually, most of these items are completely unused. Like, seems like it would be a really good idea just to let people have a go. And that's where the idea for Borrow Don't Buy came from. Libraries of things exist all over the world. They're very common in America. We have quite a few we've like 5 or 6 in the UK. The nearest one is in Totnes. which is a town not that far from Plymouth. There's one in London. There's Edinburgh. Got a tool library. There are loads there, so yeah, I can't take credit for the idea of a library of things, but borrow don't buy is definitely mine. Question 3. I like having stuff. What are the benefits of borrowing things instead of buying them? Well, I like having stuff too. We all like having stuff, right? The point is, excuse my laptop making a squeaky noise. It saves you money. You don't have to go out and buy something. You can borrow it. If you are not using something that often, having it sat in the shelf on the shelf in your cupboard, it's not a great use of your space. I'm a really firm believer that your environment shapes the way that you behave and the way that you feel about yourself. And living in clutter isn't good for anyone. So we hope that we can look after those items until you need them, and then let you have access to them in the kind of the easiest way possible. Excuse me while I clean my glasses. And it's good for the environment. People not going out and buying lots. There's an argument that capitalism is good because it encourages people to do stuff, and there are people manufacturing items, and but a lot of items these days have planned obsolescence, and we'd really like to kind of get around this whole kind of conveyor belt of people having to buy items because old ones broke and things like that. Like, you can have access to stuff without having to own it, and that's what we want to provide through Borrow Don't Buy. And last but not least is strengthening the community. We're starting to pull together these repair cafes. We're getting more and more people coming each week, and they're a great way to meet new people, learn new skills, and make new friends. We really enjoy doing them. So if you fancy coming along, come along. Question number 4: how much will it cost to borrow a, and then whatever? Well, we have we have a membership scheme, and what we wanted to do, what we were really keen to do, is make sure that this project was available to everybody. We didn't want it to be like super middle class, and we didn't want it to be just really expensive items. We wanted to be able to give access so that people who need things but can't afford them can get access, but people who want things but don't want to buy them can get access. And the only way that I could see of doing that really was to do a tiered membership system. So the casual borrower, people who just want the odd thing here and there, can come and borrow items, and they just pay for what they borrow. It's really simple. And that means that if you need a hammer, you can just come and pay a couple of quid or a quid and borrow a hammer for a week, and that's that. But if you are borrowing more regularly, and if you believe in the things that we're doing, and if you want to kind of, show your support for the project a little more, then you could become a regular borrower or a frequent borrower, and that has a monthly cost associated with it, a very low monthly cost. You're talking in terms of cups of coffee, probably a couple, not very many. That gives you a discount on the items. You can check out more things, and you get some other benefits as well. We really want people to take up these memberships, but actually, I don't have a but. We really want people to take up these memberships because that stabilises the income from rent. As you can imagine, like, renting items to people is quite volatile. Like, you don't rent out many tents in the winter and things like that. So having a bit of income allows us to stabilise things, and we'd be really grateful if you were going to become a member. But we can see it's a new concept, and it takes a bit of time to persuade people that there's value there. This is how we, broadly speaking, price the items. There are a couple of exceptions, but we've done it on the basis of purchase price. And it's worth noting that some of you will be sat there going, actually, I need to use a drill all the time, and so renting it doesn't make sense. And you're right, it doesn't. If you're going to be using something a lot, more than 10 times a year, then you probably would be better off just buying it. So that's reflected in our pricing. We've tried to keep everything as affordable as possible. I mean, as you can see, if we're lending you something that's over £1,000, you're going to pay around £30 for a week, which we think is really fair. Actually, I think personally it's a little on the low side, but I really am quite keen to keep it as affordable as possible. So I guess we might change our pricing in the future, depending on demand, depending on, I mean, a lot of the cost to the business we don't know, so who knows. But we are very, very keen, almost, I would go as far as to say dedicated to keeping the prices as low as possible. Question number 5. Aren't you worried people will break or steal things? Yes is the answer. We are worried about it, but not so worried that we don't want to lend the items out. Things will get broken because accidents happen, and sometimes people may forget to return things because, I mean, that sort of thing happens. But does the benefit of trusting people and giving people access to things that they wouldn't normally be able to afford or don't necessarily want to buy, like, do those benefits outweigh the downside? Yeah, absolutely they do. And if they didn't, we wouldn't be doing it. I believe people are good, and I think. What do I think? I mean, I get asked this question so many times, and it is a bit saddening to have to keep answering it. But I think people are good, and I would really like to be proved right about this. Plus, like, we're keeping an eye on people. It's not like we're just lending things. We're not just handing things to random strangers in the street. We're asking for forms of identification. They're signed up. Quite often we know a lot of the people, or they're friends of friends. It's not as big a risk as you might suppose. So, question number 6. Who is borrow don't buy for? This is a really easy one. It's for you. It's for everyone. Hopefully we will have a range of items that are of interest to everybody, and if we don't, we can always find items. But yeah, it's for everyone. There really isn't anyone we would hope wouldn't use the library. Question number 7. Where are you getting all the stuff from? Well, that is, I mean, I've sort of partly covered that, but also, I mean, there we go, you again. You lucky people. So a large portion of the items for the library things has come from me, and they're things that I've either lent to the library of things or given to the library of things. But we've also been given a load of other stuff, like loads and loads and loads, and people have been so generous in donating things to us. It's been amazing, and it gave us, I mean, as part of this, we needed to really think about where we were getting our items from. So our preference is second-hand donated items. The longer an item is in use, the greater its impact when it comes to carbon footprint reduction. A pair of shears that have been in use for 35 years are better than a pair of shears that have just been manufactured using plastic and things. And older, like, I don't want to harp on about this, but quite often older equipment is built better. It's built without this idea of planned obsolescence, so that it doesn't need replacing, and it's built using things like more sustainable materials like wood rather than plastic. So second-hand donated items were our kind of where we would like to get most of our stuff from. Second-hand purchased, yeah, we will buy second-hand items in preference to new ones where possible, and then new. There is a caveat to the new coming last. Like, there are certain safety considerations when it comes to second-hand items that aren't easy to insure against, and so we would look at purchasing new items. But in general, that's our kind of hierarchy of acquisition, as it were. Question number 8. Where did you get the money from? Well, some of it came from the people who are involved in the project, like me. some of it came from our recent crowdfunder, which has been was a great success. We were looking for around £7,000, and we came in a little over 11,000, with match funding from the Plymouth City Council via the crowdfunder application. Santander Changemaker Fund as well gave us some money. I've been supported with this idea by the School for Social Entrepreneurs, and they're funded by Lloyds Bank. So lots and lots of people. We've also had kind of support and help from people like Plymouth Herald and BBC Radio Devon. I mean, people have been absolutely fantastic in helping us with this idea, and I can't thank them enough, really. But I shouldn't also forget all the people who've donated things, who've come and given their time, who've helped film the crowdfunder video, who've just been. Everyone's been fantastic. I haven't met anyone yet. I mean, I don't know if the others have, but I haven't met anyone yet who's like, "Oh, this is a rubbish idea." So yeah, those people and more. Oh, hello. Went past one. Question 9. Many people have said your team are too handsome and talented. Is this true? Yes, it is. It was 100%. I mean, in the opening event, I was being super modest, and I was like, well, you should make up your own minds. But actually, yes, they are fantastic, handsome, talented. That is true. Question number 10. What are the future plans for Borrow Don't Buy? Well, we're just getting our feet under the table at the moment. The library is in a not in the place that we would like it to be. I mean, I really would like a physical shop location, but obviously we need to prove the financials of that and make sure that that's going to work. We're going to hopefully branch out into not just offering items, but offering services, offering possibly like a time banking side of things. If you don't know what time banking is where if you have a particular skill or set of skills, you offer those to the time bank, and in exchange somebody else will offer an hour of their time, and you do it an hour for an hour, so an hour of your skills for an hour of theirs. Other than that, who knows? I mean, we want to get more stuff, we want to get a place, we want to offer more services and build that community thing. I think one of the things that's really important to mention is that the Repair Cafe stuff hopefully will be expanding quite significantly, hopefully. And rather than it being focused just around the idea of sustainability and kind of reuse of things, we're looking at using it as a tool for bringing people back into the community, people who are potentially socially isolated, and putting skills that are long forgotten back into use and making them feel useful and helpful. But yeah, who knows? I mean, we're just going to try and get the business up and running and get a good customer base. We've had some fantastic support on social media recently, which is great. So yeah, who knows? If you've got suggestions for how you think this could be made more relevant to people, how it could be made more successful, then I would love to hear them. So that was the presentation. There you go. Borrow Don't Buy Mesh Project. There's how to get in contact with us if you need to. I'm probably just going to flick the screen off now. Control. Done. I think I did it. Probably it's just going to keep recording now. Yeah, so that was the presentation I gave at the opening. We had breakfast. It was good. It was a breakfast opening, which I wasn't sure about. I mean, I'm still starting to think that maybe rum and an evening event might have been better. But we had breakfast from a local CIC. The Real Junk Food Project. You should check them out. And breakfast was really good. We held it at another CIC, Moments Cafe. We invited lots of good and great people, including our local MP, Luke Pollard, who was very kind and turned up and said a few words, which was again really good. And yeah, like I mean, I think I've done Borrow Don't Buy to death for this video. Hopefully, if I can, I have trouble with videoing. Hopefully, over the next few months, you'll be seeing a few videos from me. And what I'm going to try to do is give you a glimpse into the sort of things that I get up to, which the sort of things that go on at Think Tank. It's really early in the morning. It is 6:41 at the moment. So no one is here. I've been here since like 5:30 or something. So literally I'm alone. But if I do this, this is Think Tank here. Normally there are people. It's not just me sat in a big green and white room on my own. Hold on. Whoa, there we go. So yeah, Think Tank is a co-working space. It's full of amazing people doing great work. There are a lot of social enterprises here. There's a lot of tech and digital businesses here. We have like a photo studio upstairs and a workshop, and that's where a lot of the stuff for Borrow Don't Buy is kept. So there's a lot of cool stuff that goes on here. I get involved with some really great projects, and I'm hoping my videos over the next few months will give you an insight into what it's like to be a freelancer, what it's like to be a social entrepreneur, what it's like just to kind of go out and do things a little bit differently. I'm hoping as well my presentation style is going to improve, but we will wait to see on that. This whole being in front of the camera thing is very unnatural for me. I try to avoid the limelight. I try to avoid having the things that I say recorded as well, because they can get me into a lot of trouble. Yeah, this is a bit of an experiment. Hopefully you will find it interesting and want to keep tuning in, and if you don't, well, screw you. I'm kidding, not kidding. Right, thank you very much for watching my nonsense, and if you have any comments or you want to get in touch, give me a shout in the comments, and I will speak to you all soon. Bye.